I love that.
Me too. That's why we're here.
We wrote it ourselves and I'm like, I love this. You know? I know, right? I know. Can you imagine if we're like, ugh, this sucks. Why are we doing this?
This is awful. Why
I
did we
know.
even start this podcast? I'm Geri.
And I'm Caitlin, and we're going to be digging into what it means to unpack the closet beyond just coming out. Hello, welcome to the first episode of Unpacking the Closet.
So this isn't just a podcast about identity. It's about unlearning, self-expression, chronic illness, queerness, healing, and of course, joy. It's about the layers we've hidden, the beliefs we've inherited, and the stories that we're ready to rewrite. So, as I said, I'm Geri. So I am a confidence, identity, and a self-expression coach, and I also have a background in mental health and social work. I'm actually a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I've been working in mental health for the last 10 years.
Yay!
Yay!
I am Caitlin. I am an actor and content creator. I have been living with a chronic illness my whole life, although I didn't know it until I was in my 20s. I have been navigating queer identity for the last couple of years. How would you say it? I came out older, so I am newer to learning about my queer identity and self-expression.
How old were you when you came out?
I was, oh gosh, when I started coming out to my friends, I was probably about 26. And when I came out to my parents, I was like 28. Took me a little longer to come out to them. And then my extended family and my grandmother wasn't until I started dating my now wife. And so that was like, when I was like 30. Yeah.
I mean, everybody has their own timeline. For me,
Yeah.
I was like, how old was I? I think I was like 13, 14
Really?
when I decided that I was bisexual. Yeah. My partner at the time had encouraged me to come out, which is a whole story in and of itself, which my parents were, I guess, fine with it. They had a whole family meeting about it, but like nothing came of it. It was totally cool. And then yeah, I mean, I lost a lot of friends in middle school or elementary school, I guess, because of that. But yeah, that was a long time ago now. That's crazy to think about. That was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Almost 20 years ago? Oh my God. How am I?
Oh, yeah, I've known. It wasn't a secret to me that I was bisexual or something. I knew I wasn't just straight at the very least. Probably since I was really young. Like 8. I think I've known.
Who
since
was
I
your
really
first
young.
crush?
Oh my gosh, my first crush. I really think it was the lead singer of the Bangles.
Oh my God. I love that for you. That's an
Yeah.
excellent first crush. It's so not what people usually say.
I loved her. And it's kind of accurate for like the women that I tend to be attracted to in general, like kind of similar vibes. And then Disney movies were really confusing to me because I found the princes and the princesses a lot of times equally attractive, like Aladdin and Jasmine. Aladdin was a very confusing movie. Yeah.
Aladdin's a very confusing movie. That was also one of my favorite movies. And now that
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it, yeah, both characters. Absolutely.
Yeah. I know. You're like, the whole time you're like, wow, Aladdin. And then Jasmine comes out in her red outfit and you're like, okay, well, now I'm confused. Now I don't
Right.
understand what's happening.
And there's that aspect of like, do I want to be her? Do I want
Yes.
to date her?
Yes, yes. I think I had that specific problem with Scary Spice from the Spice Girls. It was like, do I want to be
Oh.
her? Do I want to be with her type of thing? And I remember I told my mom that I wanted to grow up to look like Scary Spice. And she was like, yeah, we need to have a conversation about how genetics work. And I just did not understand. I was like, we both have curly hair. I don't get it. Like, why can't I grow up to look like her?
Right, right. Well, little kids, we don't
Yeah.
understand the aspect of race.
Yeah, no.
We're just like, they're cool. I want to be like them.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so I've definitely had crushes on friends. I was aware that it was not just a friendship, in that like I had crushes on them. I just never told anybody. I never felt comfortable coming out, which is crazy because my family is very accepting and we have family members who were already gay, so I don't know why it bothered me so much. But and then I got bullied in high school because some of the high school boys were assuming that me and a couple of my friends were gay or queer in some way. And so they were bullying us about it. And I think it made me retreat further into the closet, like
Of
because of that.
course.
Yeah. So then it took me even longer, I think. I think I probably would have come out a lot sooner had that not happened.
Yeah, I mean,
So
kids are so mean.
they truly are. I am also currently becoming a life coach. So I'm in the midst of doing that as well. Very exciting.
Yay!
Yay!
New career paths.
New career paths. So by the time you are listening to this episode, both of us will be life coaches and you will actually be able to access our information on our website. So if you go to unpackingthecloset.com, you'll be able to even book one-on-one sessions with one of us if you like us so much and you want to do that.
Which please do.
I know, please do. Please do. Make our dreams
Come
of
true.
make our
A whole
dreams
new world.
truly we may move, so it may be a
That
whole
may
new
be a
world for
new.
us.
That's true.
You
The
know.
world is on fire, but that's okay. We're just gonna do our best
That's why we have this podcast. Partly
to
because the
survive
world's
the
on fire.
apocalypse.
I'm telling you. But also to like talk about all of these issues that are currently causing the world to be on fire.
Absolutely. You know, speaking of identity work, what we're doing is really so inseparable from politics and the systems at play. And that's, I think, something we're going to be touching on a lot in this podcast, too.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We definitely are going to break down the systemic like role of gender within politics and like and religion.
Oh, religion. Yeah, that's a big one.
It's going to be there's a lot to cover there.
Queerness and religion have like a complicated relationship, so we'll probably get into that, too.
Yes, they do.
So at the heart of the show, so how to show up fully in a world that wasn't built for us. And I think there's so much to be said on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you say that wasn't built for us, that's not just it encompasses so many different groups of people that us could mean so many things, right? It doesn't just mean the queer community, it means chronic illness community,
Absolutely.
it means disability community, it means
Absolutely.
minority communities,
Showing up as women, even.
Absolutely.
Like talking about the medical world and how even cars, like the safety features on cars, use male assigned at birth bodies.
Yes, for like the airbags distributions and
And
stuff like
seat
that.
belts and things like
Absolutely.
that. Or how we don't have any information on like the reproductive health for
Yeah.
for folks.
Yeah.
The world just wasn't built for minorities. It was built specifically for white heterosexual men. And I think especially here in 2025 and the last 3 months we've had since the beginning of what are we in April?
I don't know.
Okay, so
feels like it's been 3 years.
it's
Like
been 3 years in 3 months. I think it's never more clear than ever that this world needs, it wasn't built for us here.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite YouTubers is Molly Burke. I don't know if you've
Okay.
watched her.
No.
And she is a blind content creator. And she talks a lot about this too, how like the world was just not made for anybody with disabilities. And she shows how so many things that we take for granted in our day, like just as a community who can see, right? Even if you
That's
need
so
glasses. Yeah, and how difficult it can be. And how long the process takes to get through red tape to get something done for the blind community. She submitted a petition when she was in high school, I think it was high school, for a crosswalk to have accessibility features because it was kind of a dangerous area and she had to walk it all the time. And they didn't put it in until she was like in her 20s and had already moved out here to LA. So it took like years.
Gosh.
So she went back to see her old town recently and she was like, oh my gosh, look, the crosswalk finally has what I asked for when I was in high school.
That is freaking awful.
Like, I laugh, but I laugh because it's so ridiculous.
Well, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but that's
Oh
a
my
topic
God.
she goes over a lot, that the world is just not made for people who are other in any way.
I mean, that's a really great example. I'm also thinking about even, in my social work job, how difficult it is to get folks to speak, to get translators for different languages, because I mean, as an only English speaker, I know very little Spanish and very little French, and very little Russian. Like I can't carry a conversation to save my life. Thankfully, I don't have to right now. But with that being said, like even I've had clients that are deaf, and hard of hearing, and how complicated it is to get a translator service. And the service that we use a lot is like an internet-based or phone call-based service. And then there's problems with technology, and then the client has to have access to the technology to make it work. If we're meeting in person, like how are we communicating, and how it's just not really built in to how we structure work.
Yeah.
It works off of the assumption that you can pick up a telephone, or you can even meet in person. Like even speaking about Los Angeles and the lack of public transportation, how difficult it is to get from point A to point B, and that creates the lack of access.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
people.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, that I think is a major goal for this podcast, is to just, if nothing else, inform others about the struggle that people go through all the time, and about all of the things that maybe you don't think of in your daily life that other people have to, and things that maybe you can do. Even just learning about someone else's struggle is a step towards change,
I think so too. And I think, taking the information is the first step. The second step, I think, is finding the resources and taking that out into the world. And my hopes for this podcast is people will grab onto something and they'll be like, oh, I didn't know about that. I'm going to do more research, and I'm going to find a resource. And now I have this resource for this thing.
Yeah.
I have the information and some resources to go home with and maybe make some changes. Or at least maybe if you're ever in a conversation with somebody who needs something, it's like,
Yes.
hey, I didn't know what IHSS was. Now I do. Did you know that you can sign up for this if you have Medi-Cal?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The more people can be educated on a topic, they'll hopefully turn around and, if nothing else, educate somebody else on that topic. And the hope is that it will lead to change. And
change. That's what we want. Change.
And hopefully a more like accepting community and world too. I mean, I would love to see at some point in my lifetime a world where we are more accepting of one another and want to help. They always teach you in like Bible study, that you're supposed to like help thy neighbor and like stuff like that. But then when it comes to practice in real life, most people don't want to,
Yeah, and I think, it's hard to say why that is. I think in part, though, capitalism makes it so it's all competitive. It's like it's me or you, in this like kind of Darwin like fight to the fittest kind of way. But I think the queer community knows, and I think all of the minority communities really know that the way that we get through these things is together.
Yeah.
It's through community that actually we're able to survive and move forward. And we're actually, I would say, a lot happier when we do that.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And I think right now we are in a time period that's a good example of the fact that things that you may not think affect you actually do. Like,
absolutely.
You may think that like, oh, this one policy is just for this very specific group of people, but then when it comes down to it, it actually ends up affecting more people than you realize, and could eventually affect you, especially if you are not a cis white male.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We are in that time period right now.
Yeah, and I think people are kind of waking up too. I'm seeing more people be willing to have conversations. This was something that in the activist community maybe like 15, no, maybe like 10 years ago, like in the 2010s, I remember there was some kind of movement around queerness about having door-to-door conversations with people. I forgot exactly what the name of the organization that was doing it at the time. So if anybody out there knows what I'm talking about and was in LA in like 2010, let me know. But it was an organization that was activist based, community based org that was just talking about how to have conversations with people about queerness. Probably because we had in the last years in California, we saw marriage equality pass and then not pass, and to see that reversal happen. And so people were really trying to have conversations about that with people, because the idea is like if you know somebody and you understand where they're coming from, you're more likely to vote on this issue of marriage equality. And we've really seen that shift in the last 10, 15 years. Not to mention, being that I've worked in mental health for the last 10 years or so, I have never seen so many people show up for the trans community as I have this year.
Yeah.
That is amazing to see. I'm so proud to see so many people in the streets fighting for trans rights right now. I think it really shows that people are having more of those conversations and people are really trying to move forward and support of other folks that are different from themselves.
We are going to talk about at some point throughout this podcast joy as an act of like resistance. Thank you. Yeah. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word. Yeah, that's going to be a really fun episode because there are some heavy topics. We're going to go over a lot of heavy topics in this podcast just by nature. Unpacking the closet, that is a heavy topic on its own. So I think it's going to be really fun to go through and talk about how to really cultivate your joy and use it as resistance against whatever it is you're going through. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think in our community we see a lot of like, people are like, queer joy, but what does that really mean? And I'm really excited to get into what that means, because I think queer joy is a survival strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. Joy just in general, joy even through any of the other topics we've talked about, chronic illness, disability, it is an act of resistance for a woman who is blind like Molly Burke to get on camera every single week and make content that's positive. That is an act of resistance.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, there are so many ways to do it. There are so many different avenues for you. It can look so different for everybody. So yeah, I'm really excited to dive into that episode and really talk about what it can be, how you can do it. I just think it's going to be so much fun.
Absolutely. And I think just even being able to have conversations like this and to open this up to the community is in itself resistance also, especially during a time that is increasingly becoming more difficult to be out. Okay, so we're still trying to figure out the name for our Patreon community. So if you have any good ideas, shoot them this way.
Yeah, let us know, because ChatGPT is letting us down.
Yeah, it's getting a little repetitive.
Yeah, it really is. There will be, if you want to join our Patreon community, there will be exclusive episodes and content over there that we won't get to or get into here on the normal channel, and probably more of our coaching based things over on that side.
So if you want to subscribe to our Patreon, we'll have more of the coaching stuff on there, and maybe some tidbits about us that you won't get on the public facing.
Yeah, probably some of the bloopers from here that don't make it in.
Which we'll probably have a lot of good ones.
Yeah. I know. We're like, oh, it's the intro episode. It'll be like, 15, 20 minutes. And we've been recording for almost an hour.
Go us.
So I'm sure you realized at this point, through all the conversation, the things that you can expect from us from this podcast. We're going to be covering the topics of setting boundaries with family and friends, the cost of being queer and sick in a capitalist society, reclaiming rage and rest and joy, medical bias, visibility, safety, queer joy, self-expression, and the messiness of growth.
And, this isn't just about having a conversation between Caitlin and I. We really hope that we can grow our community as well and talk to our listeners. So it's not just a conversation, it's a community. And we do have a Patreon. So we want to invite our listeners into reflection with us about these different topics and encourage self-trust, unlearning, and even softness, which I think is a topic that we don't talk about too much. And we want to make space for both lightness and the depth. And so if you feel so inclined, join us on our Patreon so that we can give you some more coaching tips and tricks to expand your horizon.
Yeah, and if you join us on our Patreon, you can, from the lowest tier, you can be part of the community to give us your questions and your ideas for topics. We will look to you guys for what we should be talking about next so that we make sure that we are including you in the conversation and we are really gearing our podcast to you, the listener. So some things that we'd love to hear from you would be, what are you currently closeting, right? Not just in a queer sense. As you can tell from this intro episode, there are so many things that we closet throughout our lives: mental health, illness, queerness, identity in any way. So what are you currently closeting, or what have you closeted in the past? What's something that you used to believe about yourself that no longer fits? I think that's a really great question.
That's a good one.
There's so many things. I feel like that could be a whole episode in itself.
That's a whole episode in and of itself, right?
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, so share with us via our Patreon, our Instagram, TikTok, however you want to find us. We're on all of the different platforms, and we will make sure to feature listener reflections and questions in our future episodes.
Keep showing up even when it's messy.
We'll see you next time.